flip the slides. All right, ready, Kincannon? All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I'm excited to have you all here for the first Panhandle Teaching and Learning. Just to give you a little bit of background about Panhandle Teaching and Learning, the mission of PTL is to improve the quality of life in the Panhandle region by creating an ecosystem of faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community partners where we can get together to identify problems and solve them collectively. You know, OPSU is not on an island. Everything we do will have an impact in our communities. So to make long-lasting and significant impacts, it is our job at PTL to bridge all the academic disciplines with our external partners so we can generate innovative solutions and become a leader in this state. No one needs to go to OSU to solve problems. They can come right here to OPSU to do that. I'm excited today to have an intellectual powerhouse from the College of Agriculture, Science, and Nursing, led by Dean Kincannon, to kick off OPSU's first PTL event. These faculty members who are hiding back here in the corner have shown time and time again that higher education and hands-on learning matters. Being in the classroom physically matters. And what they are bringing you today is just a sample of the amazing teaching and research that will help all of us to become better citizens. So please join me in welcoming the Dean of the College of Agriculture, Science, and Nursing, Mr. Tracy Kincannon.
I've never spoken to a group quite like this and never on a stage quite like this. And if you can't tell, I'm a little bit. But thank y'all. I want to thank you all for coming here today. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to College of Ag Nursing and Science. I've got in my office, I've got a stack of yearbooks, and the oldest one we got is from 1927. The president of Panhandle State University was Panhandle A&I back then, was a guy named President Panhandle. And in the foyer of that yearbook, he wrote, "It is the purpose of the college to serve not only the students, but all the people of this great country. We want you to feel free to call upon our faculty whenever you think we can be of service. We are trying to build a great college with three things: an ideal, a high standard of scholarship, and service." And President Payne wrote those words 95 years ago right here in Goodville, America. And OPSU has worked really, really hard since that time to uphold those lofty standards. Presidents come and presidents go, and the only thing that seems to stay constant in our lives is times are always changing. But the core mission of Panhandle State, progress through knowledge, has never changed. From the very start, Panhandle has been creating, transforming, and molding the Panhandle, pushing her ever forward. It was with its founding as Panhandle Agriculture Institute in 1909 that we broke out the prairie and taught our area's first farmers and our area's first teachers, preparing us for what was to come. In the 30s, it was Panhandle A&M that taught our area farmers with new cutting-edge technology and techniques that finally stopped the dust from blowing and ultimately saved our area from the dust storms. And it will come to no surprise that the 50s and 60s brought a lot of expansion to our middle school, and that expansion saw an explosion of irrigation and confined cattle feeding operations in our area, with names like England, Firestone, and Gardner teaching the next generation of agriculturalists and ag businessmen and women. The Oklahoma Panhandle teaching was on display for all to see. It's Panhandle, for the past 100 years, Panhandle Teaching and Learning has taught the area's teachers, bankers, and businessmen. Providing opportunities to excel in the arts and other endeavors has always been a cornerstone of Panhandle Teaching and Learning. Panhandle alums are at the highest level of leadership all across the country, from White House administrations and the halls of Congress to Hollywood and even NASA. Progress through knowledge, Panhandle Teaching and Learning, moving Panhandle State and Panhandle forward together at a slow and steady pace of progress. I messed that last part all up. It was really quite snappy, so I apologize. And now I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Bench. Dr. Bench is our most senior professor in the Ag Department. Dr. Bench's agronomy students are some of the most highly sought after grads in the entire agronomy field. Dr. Bench's thorough and comprehensive program prepares OPSU grads to go right into the workforce. Dr. Bench. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dean Kincannon. So, I'm going to talk a little history since I am the old guy now. Believe it or not, I don't feel that old, but I guess I am. A little history, a little historical perspective, as already been mentioned. Oklahoma Panhandle State University got its beginning back in 1909. It was an agriculture school for the Panhandle area, and we've undergone different name changes and evolved through the 114 years that we've been in existence. And another significant thing I think that has contributed to the agriculture here in the Panhandle was the beginning of an OSU experiment station out on our college farm. So 1923. Dr. Sharma, are you here, I believe? Yeah. 100 years, man. 100 years. We need to celebrate that. So 100 years of collaboration between OSU and OPSU in trying to do some research right here in the Oklahoma Panhandle. I put this picture up just to see if there would be anyone that might remember when the college farm looked like this. This is it predates me. That building you would probably recognize as it was a dairy barn at one time. In this picture it would have been. But the OSU Research Center is sitting right there in kind of that old lagoon. So it's kind of interesting how things change. But if you look at where we're located, OPSU is right in the middle of where it really matters if you're agriculture. Okay. If we take and look at about 150-mile radius of OPSU, well, what can we say about this area? Well, lots and lots of agriculture, lots of money in agriculture. In fact, Texas County, the centermost county, the Panhandle, has more net receipts from agriculture than any other multi-county region, like the Southeast region, the Northwest region, or whatever. More net receipts from agriculture in our one county than anywhere else in the state of Oklahoma. So if you want to talk the importance of agriculture, we're right in the epicenter of it. What else can we say about this region? Well, it's a little harsh in terms of the environment. One day we have a dust storm, the next day we have a blizzard, right? And there's not a lot of people out here, but there's a lot of money. The agriculture would be measured in billions. I think I calculated here a while back at roughly $4 to $5 billion worth of agriculture. So the industry, the companies that do business here need people from this region. All right. If you get someone from, Houston or Chicago, they're probably not going to stay very long, right? It's a harsh environment. So if we can bring in the students, and this is the area that we primarily service, if we can bring those students in from this multi-state region, and the employers can come in and hire graduates, then they're more likely to be happy, they're more likely to stay in the area. And that's been a problem with a lot of these large corporations, agriculture corporations, is just being able to get people out here. Well, we're here to help with that problem. In the agriculture, we have 4 different degrees that are offered. Agronomy, of which I'm the department head, and just a bit of background on me. I think most of you know me or whatever, but I'm a native of the Panhandle, grew up out in Beaver County, came to OPSU for my undergraduate, OSU for a master's, K-State for doctorates, taught at junior college, came back here, been here, I guess, 22 years or so now. And like I always tell people, if I didn't live here, I'd move here. I mean, this is home to me and to many of you. So we have the agronomy degree, we have the ag business degree, which we'll be hearing from Dr. Abbas later, ag ed. Dean Kincannon's over that. Animal science, we have 3 people that we'll talk to this morning that would be from the animal science department. And we have beautiful facilities here to be able to better agriculture in our southern United States region. We have the fairly new science and ag building, which y'all are familiar with, the greenhouse, which is just a tremendous asset for my program. We have the college farm. It's about 960 acres, and it is a collaboration between us and Oklahoma State University. So they have the Oklahoma Panhandle Research and Extension Center that's out at the farm, and so we've been collaborating with OSU for 100 years now. All right. And so able to work collaboratively with OSU to do research and to better agriculture in this very important region. Okay. So, a lot of different things out there. We've got subsurface drip irrigation. We've got center pivots, I guess 3 of them. We've got 2 lateral systems, which are really good for doing small plot research because you want them to be long, slender plots. So if you haven't had a chance to see what we have at the college farm, you ought to check it out. The OSU Research Center, I think, is about 550 acres or so of the 960 acres that is the college farm. So lateral irrigation systems, so it's not like center pivots where they go round and round, they go back and forth so that we can be able to put out small plots and be able to do research a little more effectively. Subsurface drip irrigation is some of the research that's been done. And Dr. Summit Sharma, you might just wave it to everyone, Dr. Sharma. He is an OSU researcher, assistant professor, irrigation management, irrigation specialist. And so he resides here in Goodwell. He's on site and does research. Cameron Murley, an OPSU grad, then graduate school at OSU. He's the station director there. And so we have a good relationship. And we share the same board of regents, which most of you know. So it's just a logical fit that we would collaborate on efforts together. We also have, OPSU has about 1,200 acres of rangeland, about a mile or so south of OPSU. The shooting sports complex is located in here on what was the college farm, so we kind of have to reshuffle this. But 1,200 acres of native rangeland, a little bit of introduced pasture that can be used for livestock enterprises, as well as any research that we might want to do. Okay, agronomy courses at OPSU, a lot. The plant science, plant seed ID, soil science, soil fertility, ag math, range management, pasture and forage management, grain oil seed pulse crops, weed science, IPM, integrated pest management, introduction to biotechnology, irrigation, crop physiology. So, we're basically offering the same types of courses that the bigger land grant universities would offer, and able to give the students the knowledge and the education that they need to be successful. So, lots of different classes that are all designed to give them the skills that they need to be able to be professional agronomists. And agronomy, the animal science program, ag ed, ag business, they also have courses that would be very similar to what you might get if you were at OSU. So how do OPSU agriculture students compare to students from other universities? So I would say we compare very favorably. In fact, I would say we're right up there with them. Well, how can I make that claim? Do I have any way to back up that claim that OPSU students are just as good as OSU or K-State or wherever? To a degree, we have what's called the National Crops Judging, the NACTA Crops Judging Contest, which is held each year. The contest is based on objectives of the CCA, the Certified Crop Advisor Program, which is put through and administered by the American Society of Agronomy. And the contest consists of 4 different sections. Plant and seed identification, about 150 of the most common crops, range plants, weeds that an agronomist in our area would need to be able to identify, both plants and seeds. We have a lab practicum part, which would be a contest over important skills like insect identification, disease symptoms and identification, being able to interpret soil test reports, you name it. It's just a lot of the real applied hands-on types of things that the students are tested over. There's a part of the contest which has to do with ag math, probably the least favorite part of the contest. Wouldn't y'all say? Yeah, I've got some people that have worked with me a little bit. Yeah, ag math is no fun, but is it important? Absolutely. If you go out there and you tell the farmer to put on a herbicide application rate and you mess up the math, maybe even by 1 decimal point, students say, "Bitch, it's 1 decimal point." Well, instead of putting on 1 quart, you put on whatever, 10 quarts, you could kill the field. And how much does a field of corn, center pivot of corn, going to cost? How big a mistake is that? That's a lot. 200 plus $1,000 mistake right there, probably. So ag math is important, and it's emphasized in the contest. We also have just a general knowledge test, which can be over literally anything. So I feel like that this NAC crop judging contest is a really good evaluation of the knowledge that our students have compared to the other universities, and not peer universities. We're talking land-grant universities. So whenever we were able to have a second place finish, we placed second to Iowa State University now twice. All right, these students were as good, if not better, than any of the students that we competed against from Nebraska, Oklahoma State University, the OSU. Yes, it was sweet to beat the OSU. Texas A&M, Purdue, a lot of those really big schools, and OPSU, little old OPSU was able to be highly competitive. And a lot of these students have went on to very successful careers. A couple of these guys are well-known crop consultants, farmer in Southwest. Dr. Ryan Bryant, Dr. Bryant's grandson, is finished his PhD in plant genetics at OSU. He's now working for a herbicide company, just doing a great job. We had another team from 2017 that came in second. The brother and sister from the Hooker area, Fishers. We have this young man here from Iowa. He's now working for the NRCS back in Iowa. This young lady is finishing this semester her PhD in agronomy at Kansas State University. Is going to be a regional director for a big multi-billion-dollar herbicide company. She's going to be in Wisconsin. So, our students go on to accomplish great things, so I feel like that with the judging programs and the other judging programs that we do, that allows us to be evaluated, our students to be evaluated against the big land-grant universities. So whenever I say our students are just as good as they are at OSU, K-State, Mizzou, wherever, then yeah, we are consistently in the top 5 in this national crop judging contest. So our students have done quite well for us. All right. I guess that's all I really had. I just wanted to try to keep it brief, just a brief introduction. I think we're going to hold off on questions till the end. But when you look at where we are, the billions of dollars in agriculture, we're trying to service the industry and trying to get the word out. I was hoping there would be a few more people here than what there is today, because I think that we've got a program in agriculture here that we can be very proud of. We've had great success over the decade, over the century plus now, and only just gaining steam. Speaking as an old timer, I can say that a lot of these new people that we have, Dean Kincannon and these people back there, they are top notch. We're a fairly new group for the most part, but I expect and we're going to have great things out of the agriculture program here at OPSU. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Bench. I appreciate it. Next up, we'll have Dr. Voss. One thing I wanted to hit on real quick, since we've been here, we've been reaching out. We've had multiple meetings with CS Farms. They're a big farming outfit out of Dalhart. Cactus Feeders. They're a big cattle feeding operation based out of Amarillo. 5 Rivers is based out of Amarillo. It's cattle feeding. Seaboard, Prestige, Cargill's everywhere. Everybody knows about Cargill. But our students are highly sought after, and the reason why is the area, and it's our small class size and our hands-on classes. They love our kids, and they love it. They come to begging for them. We've had 4 companies come and do interviews and set up stuff. They just, what can we do to help you get more students here? We need to go back money. So our next person is Dr. Voss. Dr. Voss, he's one of our few that's not an alumni, but he's our agribusiness professor, and he's got a ton of very innovative teaching techniques. And Dr. Voss is teaching our next generation of ag business leaders to thrive. And the big thing about thriving in these tough markets is keeping an eye and attention to detail and strong work ethic. Dr. Abbas does a great job of teaching kids how to do that.
Thank you, Dean Kincannon. I'm going to echo Dean Kincannon in welcoming you all and thank you for being here. It means a lot to us. I want to thank you all of my colleagues for, and especially my colleagues at College of Agriculture, Science and Nursing for managing to do so much with so little. You do a wonderful job. And I have to tell you this, that I am not well practiced in public speaking, so bear with me. I can't stay on course, so, and this is my first time to be on this stage, and it's so much easier to talk to students than you guys. But so anyway, I'm here to talk about what I'm doing and what we're doing within our agribusiness program. But before that, I wanted to share some stories, what compelled me to go and research this effort-based education. I always believed in, it's impossible to actually test the mind or the mental capability of students with one or two tests. So I always wanted to actually put that effort-based curriculum forward and encourage students. So the experience that I want to share with you, one is personal in a sense that is not related to work, and that's 10 years prior. And one, when I first started at OPSU, it was August 2019, when I proposed a problem-solving assignment to one of my classes, and I had several students coming and telling me, hey, what do you expect? This is too much for us. This is OPSU. And it was hurting. It was insulting to me. It was insulting to them. They didn't realize. So it took me back to that personal experience that I wanted to share with you. I played soccer. I refuse to believe that I'm getting old. It's a very tough sport. It's very challenging and creative. So during my playing, and my son got interested, I got him into soccer, and I used to drive him from Lubbock to DFW area, where is the mecca of soccer in the U.S. compared to LA, California, and Miami, Florida. So when he was playing there, I felt that he was losing confidence. And at the end of the games, I would have this heated conversation with him. And he came and told me the same thing. He said, what do you expect? I'm a player from Lubbock. I'm playing against the Dallas forward area players. Then it didn't hit me as much as it hit me in August 2019. So one lady came to me and told me, young man, being a parent is the most wonderful thing in life, but it's also the most painful thing. And that what really hit me, that sentence there hit me in 2019. So I decided to research what's going on, because I came to the US after my high school. I did all my higher education in the US. I came here and I started studying to see what's going on. And don't listen to people that tell you, oh, the US education system is terrible. We're not emphasizing math so much and all that. Take it from me. I came from a country that was born. They harp on science and math, but they kill creativity. We produce creative students, and we come with breakthrough in technology and science all the time. If you don't believe me, look at the history. So I looked at this and I came to this fact check. I don't want to read the entire thing for you. So we do accommodate to everything. Like the system has standard tests and accountability programs implemented to raise overall academic achievement. The system also has testing policies to increase equity, to give poor and minority students a fairer chance by making expectations clear and providing instructions geared to them. But in practice, we see that this twin goal cannot be met. And I realize why. Because we put all our schools organized in efforts in that belief that the nature of ability and aptitude It's what determines what people can do and what people can study. And that makes it hard to evoke effective academic effort from students and students, educators. So in reality, what is learning? It's a function of both our aptitude, our intelligence for particular kinds of learning and the effort they put forth. So, but our schools, since they're largely organized around this, if you don't have the aptitude, you cannot go through this program, you cannot be challenged. That's what students fail. The result is some students never get the chance to study a high demand, high expectations curriculum. And that's why they tell you, what do you expect? It's OPSU. Because they were told, it was ingrained in them that they don't have that innate ability to do problem solving and other high thinking or critical thinking. As a result, students who are held to low expectations do not try to break through that barrier because they accept the judgment that innate attitude matters most, and they don't have it. They weren't born with it, and they don't have the capacity to do so. So children who have not been taught a demanding, challenging thinking curriculum do poorly on those tests, the IQ tests and other tests of reasoning or problem solving, confirming many people's original suspicions that they lack the talent for high level thinking. That's the problem that I find there. We have to challenge this. We have to change the mindset of our students. And I came across a lot of research done to actually tackle this problem. And I chose two that really seemed compelling to me. One is from the cognitive science and habits of mind. And the other one is from the social psychology, being smart and getting smarter. These two line of research, they tell us that we can do better. We can change people's mind, and we can make America smarter. So what is the habits of mind? It's the belief that intelligence is the habit of persistently trying to understand things and make them function better. It's working to figure things out, varying strategy until a workable solution is found. So there was an experiment done with 4 students from China and 4 students from the US. And they give them a problem that didn't have any solution, a math problem. And they gave them 15 minutes to figure it out. After 10 minutes, the American students got up, they said, there is no solution for this. At 20 minutes, they were pulling the Chinese students away from the math. They're saying, well, we're going to figure out, it's like, there is no solution to this problem. So that's what I want to build there. I don't want to harp on math, but I want them to look for things that, and change strategies to come up with a workable solution. So intelligence is knowing what one does and doesn't know. So they can seek information and organize the information so that it makes sense and can be remembered. In brief, one's intelligence is the sum of one's habits of mind. And the other one is being smart and getting smarter. This has shown that people who are not challenged, and they think that the nature of talent and intelligence about what accounts for success and failure will influence the amount of effort they put forth. So if they're told, oh, they don't have that innate intelligence, they're not going to put forth anything. They're not going to put the effort that they do. They say, we're done. We're done. It's all PSC. What do you expect? It's insulting. And then it also shows if you change the mind of people, change the belief of that of intelligence, something that develops and grows, people start viewing ability as a whole host of skills that is continuously expendable through one's efforts. So that's the effort-based strategy we have to take. So as a result, they tend to invest energy to learn something new or to increase the understanding and mastery. So I came across this, and that's by the 2 studies. And then I'm trying to build a curriculum that encompasses all of these. I don't want to read through them. It's boring. but please take a look. One, we have to organize for effort. We have to put some more time and introduce more information for them. We have to work with them. An ARC, I think Miss Sarah Green, she does it wonderful. I mean, you're not there, but your footsteps are there. And Miss McKenzie, where are you? You do a great job there. And clear expectations. We have, if we want to replace this, if we want your students to perform in a high level and learn in a high level, we need to have clear expectations to everyone, to parents, to schools, to professionals, to community, and above all, the students, with visible accomplishment targets to aim to at each stage of the learning. So that's one thing you have to do, and recognition, accomplishment. You can take them to NACTA. Where is Dr. Bench? Where did you go? We come second and first. I don't know how you do. Since I started here, COVID hit and everything went into, I don't know, vanished. So you recognize your students and for doing this, and be fair and credible, have a fair and credible evaluation. And I want to have tests and assignments that are aligned to standard and curriculum being offered to students. And I want to grade against absolute standard rather than on the curve. So students clearly can see their accomplishment, their results, and then what they're learning. So I want to have an academic rigor in thinking curriculum. Thinking problem solving should be the core of each course that you put forth for students. Accountable talk, you can talking with others about ideas of work is fundamental to learning. When you teach others, you learn more. I learned some lights went off when I first started teaching, especially statistics. Some lights go off. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. While I was teaching, and I couldn't believe it. So teaching others is it's incredible important. And then socializing intelligence, put forth. You call on students that use the skill of intelligent thinking and accountable thought, and by holding them responsible by doing so. So talking and teaching others in social setting. You put some discussions, whether it's online or which I'm not very fond of, but anyway, in person classes, and then learning as an apprenticeship, working alongside of an expert is a great way to give the experience to student to excel. So now I get where I'm originally here for, and what we're doing since our last, the agriculture, the Secretary of Agriculture was here. I asked some of the businesses and the officials, some senators were here. I started connecting our students to their offices and businesses for summer internships and maybe potential future careers. We got some internship, and since I believe knowledge is serial, we are aiming with Dr. Toll and Dr. Bench to build a curriculum that encompasses all the elements that I mentioned for an effort-based learning that is within a discipline and a cross-sectional, even with the School of Business. I don't know if Dr. Goodson is here. I talked about building a statistic class with her, where ideas are connected for real-world application and further analysis. That can be a capstone class. And then recently, Dr. Sharma sent me a grant opportunity, and I'm trying to research the female labor force participation with Ms. Johnson Cassidy in the region, especially in the agriculture sector, and incorporate it in our studies to help female labor force increase and enhance the program. I talked about the agriculture statistics that will introduce data analysis methods to build hypotheses to work either even in your area, agribusiness, agricultural economics, agronomy, and also animal science. So this is the grant that I'm working on. Hopefully we can get that approved. It's sustainable strategies to remove nitrate from wastewater using spent coffee, the waste coffee ground derived hierarchical pairs carbon as absorbents. What does it do? We're going to use coffee. I worked with a chemist. I don't know anything about this, but I had 2-3 meetings with a chemist at OSU, and he told me that he wants to use coffee waste to take the nitrate out of the water to recycle water for further use. So this is, I copied and pasted for the proposal. I'll be serving as a collaborator. We're going to do, I'm going to oversee and facilitate outreach activities in high schools. We do lectures and hands-on activities. We do presentations to promote that idea and educate them. I'm trying to recruit students to OPSU agribusiness and related field to focus, with the focus on females, with the intent to help them as well as all students that they will participate in that. I will mentor 4 graduate students, whoever is here and willing to work with me throughout each of their academic years during this project. I will try to include, I will teach them how to do surveys, conduct surveys, data collection, data analysis, and some data synthesis, and provide them with an introduction to publishing and dissemination of results. That will serve as a step toward undergraduate research that we lack here. Dr. Billiard, we said we are the only institutions that we do not participate in that will. So I'll be responsible for all that. Yesterday or the day before, you asked me to write a mission statement. If it's approved in our agribusiness program, we are committed to train individuals to be self-motivated to pursue personal growth and learning. In doing so, we aim to persistently improve effort-based and student-centered learning in and out of the classroom. We utilize the facilities in our position to the fullest to provide hands-on real-world experiences. And we have this beautiful farm and meat labs and etc. So we strive to provide the most reliable, updated, and accurate information accessible in the agriculture and the business fields. Our goal is to promote sustainable agriculture practices, which will strengthen markets for agricultural commodities and protect the environment in which we live and depend. That's all I have. Again, thank you very much. I got all the information for the effort base from this article, which introduced the 2 methods that I looked at, and I come up with this. So I hope you liked it, and I'm sorry if I hate to read off the slides, but that's all I could do. It was a short period of time. I'm good when I'm presenting my work in terms of research. I feel more confident, but when I'm reading out something, I'm not good. I'm sorry. I bored you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Our next speaker is Catherine Hearn. She's our newest faculty member. We snatched her out of the jaws of OSU. And we're very excited about that. She is an All-American meats judger at OSU, and we're super excited to have her. She's what I wrote. I got something she wrote about you. She's bringing the freshest ideas in a lean form. I didn't mess up.
Thank you. So I do have a background in agriculture education as well, so I have a passion for teaching as well as meat judging. And so I wanted to just kind of start. I know Dr. Bench talked about the location of OPSU, but I did want to mention not only the production agriculture on the agronomy side, but also in meat production. So within 150 miles of Goodwell, there's 8 major meat packers in the beef section, and then there's 1 major pork producer. And if you push that boundary just a little bit further, there's a major lamb packer outside of Denver, and then you got some other ones down in southeast Texas. So right around where we are, there's tons of opportunities for students to get involved in the meat industry. This is really important as we teach classes and think about what classes need to be taught, what students need to know, and how can we prepare them to go out into that workforce and become one of the leading people at some of these companies. So obviously the closest one would be Seaboard with pork production, but don't eliminate some of those other major beef packers that are in the area as well. I know Dr. Abbas had talked about some internships, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in my presentation, but these companies are more than willing to invest in the students that are from this area. It's hard to get students. I did come from OSU. I originally grew up in Florida, so I'm a long way from home, but I'm just gonna keep staying out here and doing what I'm doing. But students that are from this area want to stay in this area, and so those positions at these companies are open quite often because it is kind of difficult to get people to move to the area or to move into the area. Just looking at kind of the size, so not only are there 8 packing plants close, they're major packers. Oklahoma is going to be leading in terms of pork production and beef. We don't have any federally inspected commercial plants in Oklahoma, but just across the line, Kansas and Texas both are huge producers, and those are still within an hour to an hour and a half distance from Goodwell. So that gives us the ability to have an impact on the cattle industry. And Dean Kincannon also talked about those concentrated feeding operations that are within the region as well. So that is going to supply our meat industry. And there's a lot of stuff that I talk about in class that it's not just the packer forward to retail consumers. We would be nothing in the meat industry without those livestock producers. So there's some investment that we have to give back to the beginning of the food chain before we can reap any benefits from the end product. Pork, Oklahoma is going to lead in pork production with Seaboard Foods in Guyman. There's not a lot of other major pork producers in kind of the southwest region of the United States. A lot of them are going to be where most of the corn is grown, up in the Iowa, Illinois area, but we do have a big presence there, and it's another opportunity for students to step into something that isn't traditional to the location. Obviously, beef production is going to dominate in Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle, but pork production is also another option to get in with students. Some of the classes, obviously this is my first semester here and I'm just getting started, but traditionally some of the classes that have been taught and I plan to teach in the future, meat evaluation is one that typically is geared towards that judging class, but those contests, just like Dr. Bench had mentioned, that contest is directly applicable to what happens in the industry. So we're learning things that they would use if they got an internship or they started a career in the meat industry. So that's a class where not only are you an educated consumer, if you choose to eat meat in your diet, you should be educated in that instance. And whether you take that back to your family and just use it there, or if you use it in your career, all students should have the opportunity to at least understand where their food comes from, what can impact some of the quality of the products that they're consuming, and how to better educate others. The meat industry typically takes a lot of heat from a lot of different places, and my goal, part of my teaching philosophy, is to hopefully have students who are advocates for the industry, whether they're actively a part of it or not. At least they're educated and can spread the word about the truth about the meat industry, rather than letting social media or major outlets kind of dictate their thought process. Kind of on the flip side, so that's more of a theory-based. The class that I think is most interesting and very unique to the meats is our hands-on lab setting. We have the ability with the meat lab on campus to take an animal all the way through the entire process of harvest through fabrication and then further processing into some of those retail products. That's not something you're going to be able to just sit and learn about. We have the ability to go and do. So yesterday we had a lab and we had about 20 students that would harvest animals, and then as later on in the semester, they'll continue working with that same product through the entire process. That gives them tangible skills that nobody can take away from them when they leave OPSU. The ability for them to work in that setting is something incredible that not every institution has. And even though OPSU is small, we still have that ability, and it makes it even more impactful to those students when there's only one instructor and 8 kids, rather than when I was teaching this class at OSU, 1 instructor and 75 kids trying to do the same thing. So it's a really cool opportunity to apply the things that they learn in lecture to a real world setting, and then they can take that with them as they enter the workforce. Obviously, understanding the science behind all of the muscle biology and biochemistry is also important. Being able to physically do the acts, but understanding what's going on while you're doing them is also important, and it gives those students the ability to take not only tangible on-the-job skills, but also that scientific background to support the decisions that they're making in the future. There's some food safety courses. Again, typically that's there for consumer knowledge, but there is a huge industry to work for food safety. My brother has a master's in food safety and has made a really great career for himself coming through a similar meat science program. And so kind of pivoting off of that is how can I or how can we get meat science outside of the classroom? We have the ability to lecture, and then we can use the meat lab as kind of a lab setting, but how do we even spread it further into the community? Those same locations that I talked about earlier are these major packers. Cargill, Tyson, National, and JBS are your top 4 in beef production in the entire country, and Tyson and Cargill in the entire world. And they're just in our backyard. So we can really utilize them as an opportunity for those students to apply what they learned in class on a larger scale. It also gives internship opportunities. I know that a lot of my colleagues that are in the industry came through an internship program. I know Seaboard has an incredible management and trainee program where you start out kind of in all facets of the business and then move through. And they're always looking for students that are willing to be out here in the Panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. Using their real world problem solving skills that you would learn in lecture and through that lab through meat judging is kind of the final piece of where I wanted to go with this talk today is how can we use all the things that we've learned scientifically, hands-on, and add a little bit of a competitive flair, because if you're not doing it to the best of your ability, why do it at all? So adding that in through the meat judging program is pivotal to kind of my philosophy for OPSU. So those major packing plants that I highlighted at the beginning are some of the most common that are going to host contests. These are all of the contests that are supported through the American Meat Science Association. All of them are in a major packer, and all of them will have recruiters at those activities. And typically the night before the contest or sometime throughout the time that they're preparing, they'll have someone come and talk. And they really, really want those meat judging kids to come and explore their facilities, do an internship, simply just come and tour. We've been on multiple trips through these packing plants, and I just started, but I do have a couple of my meat judging kids in here right now. They've already kind of hit the ground running. They've had success. We've been to 2 contests, and I'm just looking forward to continuing that with them, and hopefully we can recruit some more students in there, and we can get some team awards. Right now we're lacking in terms of numbers to place as a team, but I have no doubt that we can be competitive against all of the other schools, as we've shown. The couple individuals that I've taken have had success. We just got to put it all together. So some of the life skills I wanted to highlight through meat judging and through the extension part of the in-classroom learning: decision making, time management, organization, responsibility, teamwork. These are all skills that I can't teach you in lecture. It's not something I can just put up here on this slide and you memorize and you can have it. Those are soft skills that employers in any industry are looking for. So it's not unique to the meat industry. We could talk about ag business or agronomy. They're all looking for those same skills that these students can get through this opportunity. And then also the career benefits, looking at just the connection to the industry. Everything in meat judging and even in our meat science classes are wrapped around those packers or those producers on all levels. So I talked about major packers, but even local packers will have an impact and can have those internship opportunities available. Even in this part of the world, there's establishments that are on a smaller scale in Woodward or in Boise City. So there's an ability for students to get plugged in within the region and not really be too far from home if this is where they call home. So kind of a into my presentation, but I just wanted to show that through meat science specifically, we have our classroom lecture teaching piece. We have our laboratory setting in the meat lab, the ability for those students to get that hands-on training. And then we even have kind of the extension of getting them in front of those industry professionals through our judging program. So I hope that, I know that the meat science kind of is in a transition period, but I want to really kind of revitalize and get the meat science program to be one of the heavy hitters in the region so that we can recruit students from the 5-state area to come to OPSU rather than go down south to little Texas Tech or wherever else they would like to go in the region. Okay, so thank you for your time. I can take questions at the end.
Dr. Toll teaches our animal science classes. She has the huge task of replacing Dr. Martin with the floor test. Dr. Toll understands what it means to be an Aggie. She's an alumnus, and she knows what that means. She's got she's got an eye on hands-on lab experiences and helping OPSU students understand all aspects of the ag industry.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming, and we want to welcome you here to OPSU. And thank you for attending our Panhandle Teaching and Learning. I think everybody in this room can agree that we are very fortunate to live in an area with an abundance of ag opportunities and outreaches. As my fellow colleagues stated, we are centrally located in an area rich in production agriculture. Yes, we're faced with many day-to-day challenges. One of them currently is the drought that we are experiencing. There are so many variables that affect production agriculture, and the main one right now that we can think of is how dependent we are on moisture. Okay, what does this mean for our local cattle ranchers? Is there anybody in the audience that own cattle, have cattle? Okay, have you tried to buy hay lately, or have you had that experience of buying hay? Can you find it easily? Okay, if you do find it, is it very cost efficient for you right now? Absolutely. Okay, it's super high, isn't it? Okay, so we have a shortage of hay. I've heard several people, I just overheard a phone call in my office yesterday of someone trying to call to find hay for their animals. To no surprise, there is none. They didn't have it. And if you do luck out to find it, you're going to have to pay way more than you had to pay several years ago to get it. So this shortage of hay is also affecting our grain prices. Higher production costs are forcing ranchers to cull most of their herds. The increase in culled cows and replacement heifers that are not going to be retained for replacement heifers in their herd for production is fuel and beef production for right now. All those are going to the packing plant. The meat supply is increasing, so I mean we're not worried in that aspect. But later on, the impact of the fewer cows and the fewer calves that are produced is something that we're going to have to face. Drought recovery and the price and cost that ranchers will have to endure to rebuild their herds is going to be quite significant. Why is all of this important? Keyword: sustainability. Sustainability and a good plan combine for a good key to success. So I just kind of thought about this and kind of the motto that I kind of live by, I'm sure for many of you have heard it. Go try to be a better person than the person that you were yesterday. You let that sink in. So the other day I got a text from a student that said, "Thank you." I didn't do anything. She said, "Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for pushing me and letting me try new things." She is a member of the meat judging team. She says, I didn't know anything about it, but I tried it because you told me I would be good at it. So how does that make you feel? Those students, if you push them out of their comfort zone, they're going to go be better than they were yesterday. That really touched my heart. With that being said, we're bringing students from multiple state regions, and we're taking them through our program. And I think it's safe to say that our College of Ag Science and Nursing, we're striving to be better than we were yesterday. We strive for that continuous improvement. We want to be better, okay? We're taking these kids and opening their eyes to real world problems. They can develop problem solving and critical thinking skills. We utilize our classrooms, our laboratories, and even the school farm so that they can develop the knowledge and the hands-on skills that they need to be successful in obtaining jobs in the agriculture industry. Our graduates are highly sought after for employment in these areas Because skills that they learned here at OPSU by these guys back here. Okay? These students can then go on and share their knowledge in the agriculture-related fields that they go to, or even if they go back home and take over their family farms. Can we control things like drought? Absolutely not. But we can learn to change our management practices, and we can learn to make better decisions when it comes to management of forage and water resources. Since we're in the middle of a drought currently, management changes are the most practical and most effective. So our students learn about management decisions in classes like animal nutrition, feeds and feeding, livestock breeding and genetics, and even ag business management. Students are learning the importance of long-term plans that can lead to genetic advances and advantages to face some of the variables such as drought that affects production. The students are learning to be prepared and have well thought out breeding objectives. That goes back to your plan. Remember, the plan is the key to success. These kids are learning to be successful. They have the ability to be involved in the longest running bull test in the nation, the OPSU bull test. It was started in 1952 by Bill in England, and many of you guys know Dr. Wynn and Jerry Martin, or Dr. Jerry Martin and Wynn. Man, after doing this bull test, I admire them so much more than I did because they poured their heart and soul into it, and wow, it takes a lot of time, doesn't it, to get it? So that's coming up Tuesday. So if you guys want to come out and be a part of OPSU history, that is a lot of our history. The foundation of that bull test is where we come from. Come get in on it, come experience it. The OPSU bull test provides the OPSU students an opportunity to gain real world experiences in animal handling and feeding that allows area producers an opportunity to purchase bulls from sons of some of the top genetics in the cattle industry. Genetic advancement might seem kind of like a long-term process. You don't see that change instantly. But one standard that we are pushing are the performance. Instead of just pouring them in there or putting them in the pins and pouring the grain to them and looking at that average daily gain. We want to look at their performance and what their offspring, what their progeny, what we're going to expect from that. So students are learning the value of EPDs and how they are measured and the significance of incorporating those into their herds. There's not a trait that is directly tied in to being able to survive the drought, but we can select cattle to better suit our environment. We can do that using indicator traits that affect or that can moderate cow size or away from the cattle with extreme growth. They have tests now that you can send off to test genes. You can select for things such as feed efficiency. You want to move away from cattle that are going to require more maintenance or more nutrients. Trait for energy requirements is pretty much highly heritable. If you think about it, 50 to 60%. Therefore, it's highly heritable. You're going to see that change within a few years. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out process. I think as well, I think Dr. or Mrs. Hearn talked about doing the internships as well. We have several kids that applied for internships, and I've already heard back from at least 3 to 4 of them that they say that they did get those internships. We've got one that did a phone interview, waiting to hear back all the way over in eastern Oklahoma at one of the biggest ranches in Oklahoma. So I think that, our students are well sought for those skills that they get here. I think we're all a big part of it. And like I said, let's help our kids get better and, better than they were yesterday. That's our goal. I think OPSU is putting our students on the forefront of the industry, and we're very confident that these students are going to make large strides in the agriculture industry and lead others through progress through knowledge.
Wrapping it up with our most nervous presenter today.
Don't make her more nervous.
I think I helped her. Now everybody knows that you're nervous.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So, Ms. Johnson is one of our faculty members. She does a wonderful job teaching all of our foundational classes.
Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon. And like Mr. Kincannon said, Dean Kincannon, sorry. I'm Cassidy Toll Johnson, and I serve as an instructor within the animal science department here. I myself am a product of OPSU. I graduated here with 2 bachelor's degrees, one in animal science and one in agronomy. I was one of Dr. Bench's students as well. I was on the crop staging team here during my time. And I'm also a 3rd generation OPSU alumni. So I thought that was kind of cool. My heart's definitely in Goodwill. So I'm going to wrap things up here. My colleagues before me that spoke before me shared ways in which they're helping advance our students and giving back and serving our community. I'd just like to close with a few remarks about the type of student that we here at OPSU are striving to produce and how our department is working to prepare these individuals. Prepare, that's the key word, prepare. Since 1909, the College Farm has served as a major foundation of not only just our ag department, but the entire college. Our entire college is based off of that farm. That farm is the original here at Panhandle State. Our ag department is also very fortunate to have so many unique tools and the facilities we have. It all helps to grow and better develop our students. Students are able to work very closely intertwined at our facilities, such as the farm, the Firestone Meat Lab, and our greenhouse. And it gives them that hands-on experience that they're going to need when they graduate and leave OPSU. These facilities and working so closely with the hands-on skills is going to add that value added to their formal educations that they're going to get in the classroom. You can stand and lecture all day about something, but as soon as you get those students working at the farm or the meat lab or the greenhouse, getting those hands-on technical skills, it's a little bit different type of learning. They're gonna, better develop in their specific areas. I believe that the hands-on experience that they are receiving here, plus our smaller class sizes and our smaller student to faculty ratios, is really what makes an OPSU student great. They're able to have a closer relationship to your faculty and work more one-on-one to develop those skills. And I think with this combination, it's really no surprise that employers in the region want OPSU graduates. They want to hire our OPSU students. So in my eyes, I think there is 3 different portions of what it takes to develop a good, well-rounded student. The first portion is going to be your formal classroom education, your lectures. Secondly, your next portion is going to be those technical hands-on skills, very important whenever you're in an industry like the agriculture industry. And third most, what we need to be doing for these students is preparing them. What are they going to do once they receive this formal education and these technical hands-on skills? How are they going to enter that workforce? Are they going to be prepared? So our department has taken several steps to not only prepare them, but to provide them with opportunities, bring opportunities to them. I teach several classes, but 2 of my favorite classes that I teach is probably Introduction to Agriculture Industry and the Senior Animal Science Seminar. So I get to see, students in very different times of their lives. Introduction to Ag Industry, it's going to be your college freshman, and your seminar, they're getting ready to step out into the workforce or go on and further their education. So 2 very different types of students I get to work with. So some things we like to do in my Intro to Ag Industry class, I started very early on in the semester with a project. Each student will pick a career that interests them, and they'll do some pretty thorough research and looking into this career, and they work on it all semester, and they'll build up a portfolio presentation, and at the end of the semester, present it to the rest of their peers. Some of them, by the time they're over with this process, they say, Miss Johnson, I don't want to do this career at all. Let's find something different to think about. And others, they'll hear another student, present a different career. And Miss Johnson, I've never heard of this one before. That one's kind of interesting. So it's just kind of cool to see, all the different avenues there is within agriculture and help those students early on to discover what may or may not interest them. Another thing that we have really stressed this past semester is internships. We want to get our students out into the industry very early on to see, once again, what avenues and channels is available to them, to try them out and see if they like them before they get that degree. And that's what it is a career they may or may not like. So we really want them to test the waters first, get some experience, some good experience under their belt. We've had several local entities, agriculture entities, come and visit with our students this past semester. Our faculty has done a great job getting those guys here. One of the first ones I believe we had, I think it was the first, is Five Rivers Cattle Feeding, local business. And they came and they visited with our students. And we had a handful of students that interviewed with them, maybe 5 or 6. And a few of those students will actually be interning with them this summer. So that's pretty cool. Pretty good success story. Moving on to my senior animal science seminar, way different from your college freshmen. They're about ready to step out into the workforce, into a whole totally different world than what they're used to. They've got the formal education, and they've got their technical hands-on training. So what next? When I came here in August, you could ask any senior in the hallway, so what's your plan? What's your next plan? Most of the time you'd get the response, well, I don't know. And we want to change that. We want them to know at that point, have some kind of game plan, have a polished resume, and have sharp interview skills. In senior seminar, we put together resumes pretty well all semester and get those polished and ready to get them out there in the real world. And we do some mock interviews so they'll sharpen up on their interview skills. That way you've got your education, your hands-on skills, and you're ready to go out to the workforce confidently. One unique trait that I'd like to share with you guys that OPSU is contributing to the workforce is the involvement of women in agriculture. Our animal science department, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but it's manned by 3 females. So I thought that was pretty cool. Not something you're going to see in every animal science department. And I crunched some numbers, and from our animal science program, of the students enrolled listed in this degree program, 68% females make up that program. So we're pretty excited to be the forefront of that. I thought that was really interesting. I'm glad to be contributing to that, to getting our agriculture women involved in the workforce. So I believe that taking our students through a rigorous curriculum, giving them the skills they need by using these facilities that we have, our farm, our greenhouse, the meat lab, and also pushing these local agriculture businesses to our students, that we can keep these students here in the Panhandle region to work. So benefiting both of our students and our community. As my colleague stated before, our Panhandle is very competitive in producing all types of agriculture products, and that means that there's many careers in the area. So trying to do our students a favor, get them out in the workforce and be successful and help our local businesses. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Cassie, I appreciate that. And that concludes our Panhandle teaching and learning. And just kind of just to wrap everything up real quick, some of the things that we've talked about as a faculty in our building over there. We are all in on that. We're taking our kids to contests, and we're going to showcase them, we're getting them out in front of people, and we're showing them off to everybody that is around. We have great kids, and the thing about NACDA, we want to make sure that we give our kids something to put on the resume builder. We want them to have something to go in and talk to employers. I know I did this, I won this, I went here, I saw this, I competed in this. Because it's not just about getting our kids jobs, it's about getting our kids a good job. And I don't want our kids to have a job, I want our kids to be the boss. Because our kids are going to go out and they're going to be a boss. And whenever we had 5 Rivers Cattle coming out here, I told them, I said, I want you to come back every year. So I'm going to fill your place up with eggs. Anyone ever filled up with Aggies, I'm gonna ask you about $10 million. And you're gonna do it because everybody's alums and they're gonna support Panhandle State. So we've got great kids. We're putting everything we got into them. We're gonna make them a top hand and we're gonna go out and do a great job. So, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Does anybody have any questions for our presenters?
So I know that in the 1930s, during the Dust Bowl, this school and the partners that we were affiliated with in the state were active in, responding to that, what I think is appropriately called a man-made natural disaster. And I wonder if we're doing anything, any sort of comparable things relative to the depletion of the Ogallala aquifer.
Yeah, we sure are. Dr. Sharma, are you still here? Okay. He is actively, Dr. Sharma, it's great that we have him here. He is actively working on trying to address those issues of the depletion of the Ogallala aquifer, trying to, find superior ways to do irrigation. The subsurface drip irrigation, the slide that I showed where you're dribbling that water out into the root zone, you really have very little evaporation because the water is just being spoon fed right into the roots. But we have not one, we've got 2 research plots out there, research studies that are designed to address that subsurface drip irrigation. So that probably right now has been the hot topic, is trying to address the water issues. There's been other things over the years that have been emphasized, but right now I would say that is priority topic number 1.
And this is the start. We've completely shifted the research for the bull test. The bull test has for 50 years, all the data for the OPSU bull test has been about average daily gain. That's been the main focus. And we've shifted that focus for that bull test from average daily gain to EPDs and heretical traits. Because last year we got 6.2 inches of rain. It's hard to keep a 1,200-pound cow with 6 inches of rain. It's a little bit easier to keep an 800-pound cow if they can raise the right type of cow. There's so many different facets to that, to the water shortage. And, the OSU is doing some water irrigation, doing some research, and then on the live animal side, we're doing some research. And the bull test is in its infancy. Anything else?
The coffee nitrate.
Coffee nitrates as well.
Any other questions? Well, I want to thank all of you for coming, but I also want to give a special thank you for our guest speakers. This was very intellectually stimulating. This is definitely something that I think we need to continue the conversation on, because we want to make sure that everybody on our campus and off campus is knowing what we're doing in each college and each department. How we're improving their education, how we're moving our students forward. And I just think that every presenter today did a solid job. So thank you so much for your service and your passion for our students. Please enjoy all the pretzels out there. We want some great cheese and Swiss artichoke dip. Yes.